Right, good morning, Christian Conservative America. First of all, I'm speaking quite quietly because it's 6 in the morning and my housemates are sleeping. This video will also be shot in haste because I have to leave for the train station in 22 minutes, so we will do this very quickly. Just trolling the internet this morning, as you do, and I discovered a couple of religious people who I simply just had to stop and have a go at, because apparently that's all we very, very, very sad and angry atheists do. No, not really. By the way, tea is good. Drink tea. The dude in question, whose name I've forgotten, but it doesn't matter because I'll put a post thing up so you can all see his name so you can find him, made the claim that apparently atheists freak out whenever evidence is requested for the justification of the existence of a deity. This guy was specifically defending a branch of Christianity. I personally prefer to attack all religions collectively, but in this case I'm going to focus specifically on his points. So, sir, whose name I've forgotten, first of all, I find it quite humorous how you make the absolute claim that all atheists are generally frightened of asking for evidence. It's a ridiculous mass generalization. Do you propose to tell me my thoughts on the matter? Do you have a direct link of telepathy with my mind, and you can tell me what I'm thinking? Well, of course, your Christian God would do so. Otherwise, there'd be no other way of convicting people of thought crime and things like that. I don't think it's fair to make that on such a large claim. I don't think it's fair to make such a large general claim of that much of the population being all terrified of evidence. We generally do ask for evidence where any claim is being made, whether it be the existence of a deity or whether or not I'm good in bed. The answer, of course, is yes, I am. But the point stands. We ask for evidence on all things, like any rational, normal human being would. I ask for your evidence. I note that you claim there is evidence in your video. You don't actually care to tell me any great detail about the evidence. I appreciate that you shot the video in 2 minutes and you had, dare I say it, Christian things to do that day, whatever they might be. I have very little idea of what you were doing, but still. You don't actually provide any evidence, you just claim there are writings. That's literally all you just say. You just say there's scripture, unalterable things, which apparently haven't been altered throughout the last 2,000 years or so. I'm sorry, I'm hungry, and I'm eating in haste, so that was probably a bit uncivilized. If you want to call us out for the rejection of a deity, for a serious lack of evidence, whilst you're living a day-to-day life based on this moral code, and I'd say the blind faith which you accuse us of towards the end of your video is greater with you than with my fellow atheists, given that we operate on a simple principle of if it can't be proven, then why believe it? Then the stare point which you made earlier, apparently all atheists stare gormlessly. I'll do an impression now of what I imagine you think they're like when they're asked the question of where's your evidence for not believing him. Now, excuse me, sir. There's one, you're making the claim here. We have no legitimate reason to believe in this deity, and if there was a separate time or a separate reality, say, where the idea of the deity was just introduced, as opposed to 2,000 years of many cultures all growing up around these deities, then I'd say things would be a little bit different. You would ultimately be required to prove it straight away. Instead, the coin is flipped in these circumstances, and for some illogical reason, atheists are demanded to present proof for the existence or non-existence of a deity. You can't actually prove there is a deity or not, and I think if it was a provable situation, it would have been discovered quite some time ago. There's absolutely no reason to believe in your specific God. I admit I could be wrong. I don't claim to have all the answers. I claim the right to reject the existence of any and all deities, and the idea that they have absolutely they should have absolutely no involvement in anything I do in my life. That would include who I go to bed with, what I eat, what I say, what I personally and privately believe in. We could go on with this. I haven't got the time to go on with it, but I'm fairly sure everyone watching this, including the religious, are relatively intellectual types and can figure out what I'm getting at. May I just burped? Secondly, the stare, the gormless stare, is that even if you had some evidence to make your claim, to postulate your arguments that there is a deity and all the specific major events of the Christian Bible, the global flood, and the promise of the rainbow never to wipe out mankind again, the resurrection of Lazarus and the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ, Christ feeding the 5,000, the healing of the blind girl, the walking on the water, Daniel and the lions, and God intervening and protecting him from said carnivorous, carnivorous is the correct word I'm looking for, carnivorous and ravenous beasts. Noah's family somehow not spreading faulty genes through incest by all people on his ark being related, and the idea of a reptile with vocal cords. Now, if all these, even if all these things in the Bible were true, even if all these things even if there was evidence to suggest that all these things in the Bible had occurred, word for word, fact for fact, in our reality, then it sounds so absurd. Full stop. Everything I've just mentioned sounds so ridiculously absurd. I imagine the stare that the atheist gives to you, that is just a simply logic reaction to the absurdity of such wild claims, which you yourself claim have been given to the religious by faith. It's nonsensical, and there's a reason why we ask for evidence, because it's simply an absurd claim to be made. It cannot be believed by a thinking human being, certainly not a rational one by 21st century standards. Now, I could rant about this all day. I could tell you precisely why I think you're wrong. I don't claim to be absolutely 100% correct without any shadow of a doubt. I certainly would be in favour of taking that point of view, then automatically just making blind assertions and devoting my entire life to something which historically has not benefited the majority of mankind and still does not benefit the majority of mankind. And I'll say there is a remote possibility, just a very small one, a 0.002% chance that I'm mistaken in my claims, but I believe that my stare, that gormless stare, and the stares of many of my fellow atheists are simply logical reactions to the wild, absurd, contradictory, immoral teachings and claims of Christianity. Thank you very much for listening. I do not apologise for offending people, because I maintain my right to say whatever I wish. And I'm going now because I have to catch a train in something like I have to leave in about 15 minutes. So that's that. I will say peace and love. I think that's a fairly universal statement that can be made. Have a good weekend.